ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। So we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 51. The Deliverance of Muchukunda, text number 30. Manye tvam deva devanam. Okay, sorry, 30. Shushrusatam abhyalikam asmakam narapungava svajanma karma gotram va कथ्यतां यदि रोचते शुश्रूषताम् अव्यलीकम् अस्माकं नरपुङ्गव स्वजन्म कर्म गोत्रं वा कथ्यतां यदि रोचते शुश्रूषताम् अव्यलीकम् अस्माकं नरपुङ्गव स्वजन्म कर्म गोत्रं वा कथ्यतां यदि रोचते शुश्रुताम् अव्यलीकम् शुश्रूषताम् अव्यलीकम् अस्माकं नरपुङ्गव स्वजन्म कर्म गोत्रं वा कथयता. Word to word meaning, translation and purport by the disciples of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki, disciples of Prabhupada ki Jai. Shushrusatam, who are eager to hear, Avyalikam, truthfully, Asmakam, to us, Nara, among men, Pungava, O most eminent, Swa, your, Janma, birth, Karma, activity, Gotram, lineage, Va, and Katyatam, may it be told, Yadi, if, Rochate, it pleases. Translation: O best among men, if you like, please truly describe your birth, activities, and lineage to us who are eager to hear. Purport: and the Supreme Lord descends to this world, he certainly becomes Narapungava, the most eminent member of human society. Of course, the Lord is not actually a human being, and Muchkunda's questions will lead to a clarification of this point. Thus, the term Shushrushatam to us who are sincerely eager to hear indicates that Muchkunda is inquiring in a noble way for his own and others' benefit. The sense of purpose. Om Ajnanatimidandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavascha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namo Mahabadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gaudatvashe Namaha हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत श्री राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी श्री राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये नीलाचल निवासाय नित्याय परमात्मने बलभद्र सुभद्राभ्यं जगन्नाथाय ते नमः वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे मुखं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयते गिरिं यत्कृपा तमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरु दीनचारिणम् That's okay. Hare Krishna. We seek blessings of all the devotees present here, so we can speak on Srimad Bhagavatam. And we are here at the section of the deliverance of Muchukunda. We were very blessed with the association of His Holiness Bhakti Dhir Damodar Swami Maharaj, and we could really see the effect of Sadhu Sangha and the great souls who are very firmly determined in Krishna consciousness with resolute faith in Krishna consciousness. It was so wonderful to hear Maharaj on various topics on Krishna. And he was speaking about how the process Srila Prabhupada has designed. He was speaking on one of the presentation that I am convinced and I have firm faith that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And thus, practicing devotional service is the most important. I'm convinced about it. Right? When some devotees were asking questions about becoming lax in our practice, Maharaj said that since we are not convinced that this is the most important thing, that is why it goes down in the priority. But if you are convinced, he was saying just like we are convinced that eating is very fundamental for our life. So however busy we may be, we will not forget to eat 2 or 3 times or more. We are convinced of this fundamental aspect. So he was saying that the lax is because of not having sufficient convictions, right? Which we derive in the association of great souls. When he was reflecting about His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Swami Maharaj, he was saying that he was filled with enthusiasm and dedication and never-ending energy. You could never see him dampened in his spirit. He was always charged up to serve Srila Prabhupada. And he had strong faith and conviction in the process. You could see that. Right? So this is really an amazing aspect of associating with great souls who have firm faith in Krishna consciousness. Shraddha Shabda Vishwase Sudruda Nishchay Krishna Bhakti Koile Sarva Karma Krit Hoy. A devotee, the definition of Shraddha Srila Rupa Goswami gives, is a devotee is convinced that if I practice Krishna consciousness, that is sufficient for receiving all perfection. I do not have to go to any other master for any other work to get any other returns. If I just go to Krishna and engage in devotion, sarva karma krit hoy, everything will be taken care. Like we talk about watering the root. So devotees have that full conviction and practice. I think His Holiness Tamal Krishna Maharaj was in Fiji. Fiji was his place. Fiji was the place. And they were staying in a quarters, and there was a neighbor who did not want them to stay there because of the kirtan and so much sound. So actually he was a very big lawyer and a very, very rich person of Fiji. And this gentleman wanted to somehow see that these devotees evacuate this place and there can be peace. So he made a very big court case against the devotees and then wanted to sue them. And these devotees hardly funds for running the temple, forget about fighting a case. And His Holiness Tamal Krishna Maharaj comes to Fiji temple and the devotees explain, Maharaj, we are completely, agitated and disturbed of what will happen. Later Sri Krishna Kaliya comes there, they appear, but so what will happen? We will have to close down the center. Srila Prabhupada's desire that we preach Krishna consciousness. And then Maharaj asked the devotees to call him. He said, I want to have an appointment with him. He said, call him to the temple. So that man was a busy man, could not make it. So one of the mornings around 7 o'clock or something, he came to meet His Holiness Tamal Krishna Maharaj. And when he had come at 7 o'clock, 7:15, Guru Puja was going on. So Maharaj was there. So he said, I've come to have an audience of your Swamiji. So Maharaj told through devotees, tell him to attend Guru Puja. So he went and attended Guru Puja. And then all the devotees after Guru Puja sat in the Bhagavatam class. Then he said, I want to meet your Swamiji. So Maharaj told to the devotees, tell him to attend the class. So he was told to sit in the class, and the guy was having some spiritual kind of an understanding. So respectful to the holy men. So he sat in the class. And then what happens after class? Prasadam. So he told the devotees, go get him a plate of prasadam and nicely feed him, Mahaprasad and everything. And he was fed all the prasadam. And he was becoming now agitated. Or he was becoming like, I don't know what was his emotion. So he wanted to see Swamiji, and Maharaj told the devotees, okay, tell him to come to my room. And there he opened the door and he was coming and wanting to speak something. It's already known of what is the discussion about. Maharaj immediately said, so your life is filled with frustration and unhappiness. You have so much wealth, so much position, still you are not feeling satisfied. I give you a challenge that for the next 3 months, every day, you come at the same time like you came today. Attend Guru Puja, Bhagavatam and Prasadam. And after 3 months, if your life does not change, immediately we'll write off this land to you and will vacate this place as is your desire that you have sued us in the court. And Maharaj gave a challenge to him. And Maharaj left Fiji. He was on his visit for a few days. And then after 3 months, this gentleman, Maharaj came back and asked the devotees what is happening. And this guy came up, the meeting, and he said, Maharaj, I want to be a devotee. I want to join your movement. Right? And like that, in every visit of Maharaj, his commitment went on increasing. At one of the visits, he said, I want to be your disciple. And I think he became his disciple and later the temple president of that place and led the whole movement to go forward in the preaching of Krishna consciousness. So we really see Prabhupada disciples, if we hear the pastimes of how the movement spread, firm faith in Krishna consciousness. They had firm faith in Srila Prabhupada and had firm faith in the process that this is the only means of deliverance of this material world or of anyone. They firmly knew this science and very, very convinced about this aspect. So we were very blessed by the association of the great souls who have firm faith. So in the sadhu sangha, what we actually amass is the faith in the process. And because we are firmly convinced of Krishna in the process, our enthusiasm to practice the process increases. Then bhajana kriya becomes very practical. Otherwise, there is a lot of inertia to follow the process very diligently. So that is why the association of great souls is very important. I was recently studying Bhagavatam, and the effect of the association of great souls I was reading in the first canto. In the heavenly planet, there was a Gandharva whose name was Upabharnava, right? Upabharnava. And he was such a melodious singer of various, different songs and glorification of the Devatas. And because he was a Gandharva and he could sing very melodiously, all the society girls of heaven were attracted to him. So he was always surrounded by society girls. And so he was intoxicated with lust and pride. That was his quality. You can imagine the praise of such a personality. If somebody is a great crowd puller in this world, he is very, very famous and everyone sorts. I know sometimes some playback singer comes to do a program in any place and 50,000, 70,000, 1 lakh people go and hear him sing. We do a program with all our devotees. How many people can we amass? But they have such fame. And talk of fame of the whole world and talk about someone being famous in heaven as a singer. So completely infatuated with lust and pride. And this Upabharnava, once there is a Sankirtan festival conducted by the demigods for the glorification of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So he comes to this party, but he comes along with the society girls and he is very much infatuated. So he wants to sing something that will make them happy and also the audience happy and enthrall them. So he started singing some songs which were not really glorifying the Supreme Lord, but singing about the Devatas and things like that here and there. So the devotees who were there, the sages who were there, became very annoyed and disturbed at this person's audacity to sing so. So they cursed him that you go to the earthly planet and become a servant, become a son of a maid servant. Right? He was cursed to become a son of a maid servant. So his career, which went to the pinnacle, when the sadhus met him, they became annoyed and cursed him to go to earthly planet and become a Shudrani's son. And then he comes down to this earthly planet, becoming the son of a Shudrani. He didn't even have a father. And during the Chaturmas festival, there was this Brahmana school where the Bhakti Vedantas came and stayed there for 4 months. And this maid servant, the Shudrani, was assisting in the service of this Bhakti Vedantas. And this boy who was few years old, was very self-controlled, not naughty, assisted in the service of the Bhakti Vedantas. And he also heard from them and received the remnants. Because of this, he developed affinity for hearing and chanting. And as a result of hearing, eagerness to hear and chant, when he took the remnants of Prasad, Shukadeva Goswami says, all his sins were eradicated instantaneously. He said, and then he became completely fixed in devotion to the Supreme Lord. The devotion to the Supreme Lord became established in his heart as an irrevocable fact. And as he practiced Krishna consciousness, his last shred of affection was his mother. And after the Bhaktivedantas left, a serpent came and, bit his mother and she was dead. He took that as an arrangement of the Lord. Very difficult. The only shelter he had, he took a stick and started walking towards Himalayas. Through all the jungles, through all the difficult situations, he reaches the Himalayas and starts offering meditation. He starts meditating on the Supreme Lord. And all that is spoken in the Bhagavatam, the modes of passion and ignorance start receding. And he starts seeing his own self as a servitor of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he sees the Supreme Lord and he's able to take darshan of the Supreme Lord. And we know the pastime, how he gets darshan. And after the darshan, the Lord disappears. The Lord tells him to continue with his devotion and practice. And he says that your devotion will not be destroyed by time. And you will become liberated and become a very, very great soul. So when he practices his devotion under the inspiration of the Bhakti Vedantas, he receives perfection. And just like lightning and illumination take at one time, similarly, he detaches from his body and becomes the great sage Narada. Narada Muni Bhajaya Veena Radhika Ramananam. And then he says, then he enters the Garbhodakshayi Vishnu, because Brahmaji had entered after the end of the day of Brahma, at the day of night of Brahma. And when Brahma starts recreating, Narad Muni comes out as the son of Brahmaji, but he is completely spiritual, unlike anyone. He is Avesh of Bhakti, incarnation. So this is the effect of Sadhu Sangha. Where he was and where he went. And it's all history. So this is the power of the Sadhu Sangha. I remember Raj Gopinath was asking this question to His Holiness Bhakti Dev Damodar Maharaj. That Brahmaji became bewildered. Here we see Muchukunda is bewildered to see the Supreme Lord and say, are you the Supreme Lord? He says, you are the best among men. Like here in this verse we are reading, he says, best among men. Narapungava. Or are you the Supreme Personality of God? So the Supreme Lord is very, very difficult to understand. And his pure devotional service is very, very rare. So he was asking a question, what is the hope for us? And Maharaj was saying, our hope is Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada is our hope. Right? And if we diligently and sincerely follow Srila Prabhupada's directions, we are not going to be subjected to similar bewilderment and we can achieve perfection. So I wanted to reflect something about Srila Prabhupada in today's presentation. So I'll read something from 4th canto of Prithu Maharaj's coronation. Right? Prithu Maharaj is Shakti, Avesh, Avatar of the Supreme Lord. And what aspect of Shakti is he? The administrative power, the arms of the Supreme Lord, Bahabal, right? Prithu Maharaj. So when he comes with Mother Archi, they are like fire on the throne. It appears as if it's like fiery. Prithu and Archi and all the citizens and all the denizens of heaven come down. And when Prithu Maharaj is starting to rule, all of them come to give various gifts. The demigod of air Vayu presented King Prithu with 2 chamaras. The king of religion Dharma presented with him with a flower garland which would expand his fame. The king of heaven presented him a valuable helmet, and the superintendent of death, Yamaraj, gave him a scepter. The Yamaraj's weapon is Yamadanda, which is very difficult to counteract. So he gives him a scepter. Brahmaji presented him with a protective garment made of spiritual knowledge. So he gave him a kavacha, which is of spiritual knowledge, to never be bewildered. Bharati, Saraswati, the wife of Brahma, gave him a transcendental necklace. Lord Vishnu presented him with a Sudarshan disc. So in the purport, Prabhupada explains that this is Upendra, the at the Devatas, who gives him a Sudarshan disc, which is Jai Shri Nitai Gauranga Bhagwan ki, Srila Prabhupada ki. Since he is an incarnation, the Shakti Avesh, to the effect he is the Shakti Avesh, to that effect the Sudarshan Chakra is of that power. So not the original one, but good amount of magnitude. So Sudarshan he gets. And the goddess of fortune gave him imperishable opulences. Lord Shiva gave him a sword marked with 10 moons, and his wife Durga gave him a shield with 100 moons. The moon god gave him horses made of nectar. That means they will never get tired. And Vishwakarma gave him a beautiful chariot. Agni gave him a bow made of horns of goats and cows. Sun god gave him arrows as brilliant as sunshine. Bhurloka, predominating deity, gave him slippers full of mystic power. He said the Devatas can travel everywhere. Prithu had slippers with which wherever he wanted, he could go. They were transcendental slippers. Right? He could go to outer space. And the demigods brought him flowers from outer space, which would never get shriveled. The demigods who were in outer space gave Prithu the art of drama, song, musical instruments, and to disappear at his own will. So he can be expert in all this and disappear at his will. The great sages offered him infallible blessings, and the ocean offered him conch shell from the ocean. The seas, mountains, and rivers gave him room to drive his chariot wherever he wanted. मतलब वो जब रथ चलाएंगे कहीं भी जा सकते हैं. हिमालय, समुद्र, पर्वत सब उनको रास्ता देते हैं. And Suta and Magadha, okay, yeah. So in this way, Prithu Maharaj is a Shakti Avesh avatar who has been given the blessings of all the demigods, of all the greatest powers. Because Prithu Maharaj had come to this world to fulfill the mission of the Supreme Lord. The avatar comes for the purpose of establishing dharma, paritranaya sadhudam, vinashaya cha dushkrutam, dharma samsthapanarthaya. The Lord appears to perform this. Then that's a Shakti Avesh avatar, a Jiva. So I was reflecting on Srila Prabhupada, that Srila Prabhupada also we hear is Shakti Avesh avatar. Right? And we understand that Srila Prabhupada's position as an Acharya is very special, because he has been chosen to fulfill Lord Chaitanya's Vani. Prithvite Ache Nagaradigram Sarvatra Hoy Prachar Morana. And because he has been chosen, like Prithu Maharaj is chosen, all the Acharyas, I was contemplating, have given their blessings and potency to Srila Prabhupada to make the mission of Lord Chaitanya successful. So it's not like Prabhupada is an Acharya who stands out. It's like all the Acharyas together, their potency is working through Srila Prabhupada. So it's one team. It's one team to deliver the mankind. And Srila Prabhupada, with great humility and gratitude to all the Acharyas, is taking all that potency without taking anything for himself, using everything for fulfilling the mission of Lord Chaitanya. The greatest contribution of Srila Prabhupada is unalloyed service, to not take any of, to not get into any pride or any deviation, but be fixed in using all that empowerment for delivering the mankind. That is Srila Prabhupada's contribution, we see. His Divine Grace Bhaktivinoda Thakur in the late 20th century, 20th, 1900 and early, it is said he was trying to preach Krishna consciousness and spread Lord Chaitanya's movement. But the effect of Kali was so strong that it was very difficult to influence people in India to become Krishna conscious. So it is said he had a vision of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who told him that he should go and do bhajan in Jagannath Puri. And by his bhajan, he should increase the affinity of people to be able to take Krishna consciousness. It said Bhaktivinoda Thakur started Nirjan Bhajan in near Samadhi of Haridas Thakur to be able to give the whole world the capacity to take to devotion. He did that tapasya, he did that aspect. And then we see Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj, his intense sadhana. And Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur then, a ray of Vishnu, preaching so boldly and establishing Krishna consciousness as the Gaudiya movement everywhere. It is said one time, one person came to Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur and said, "You are spreading Krishna consciousness like wildfire, and we see your Guru Maharaj just sitting and doing his bhajan. He is not preaching Krishna consciousness." So he was putting a question to Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, "My Guru Maharaj, Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj, is the engine. If I am the ship that's moving, what propels the ship is the engine. So the source of that energy for spreading the movement is coming from him. And I am just propelling the shaft to spread Krishna consciousness on his power." So we see that all these acharyas as a team, and Srila Prabhupada, we can see all acharyas' blessings to make the movement happen. Right? This is my personal reflection of this aspect, which we can see that we see like Bhaktivinoda Thakur would stay up late in the night and write literatures. And we see Prabhupada having that blessing of Bhaktivinoda Thakur every day, 6 hours without fail. Anywhere he would go, he would write literatures for the mankind. His intense bhajan at Vrindavan and his bold preaching of Krishna consciousness like wildfire at every place. Never to give up and give Krishna consciousness. And give us a process, give us a program, and give us a blueprint by which the whole world can become Krishna conscious. And we are seeing the fruits of it. Like Maharajji was speaking about West Africa. Right? And we were hearing about His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Maharaj, who was in Bangladesh before he went to Mayapur and South India. And there he did a program where there were 50,000 people in Bangladesh who came to attend. In 3 days, 1 lakh people came to attend programs, taking part, chanting Hare Krishna. 15,000 people were in line for Diksha and only 8,000 qualified, and Maharaj gave Diksha to all of them. And what is the position of Maharaj? Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. And now Bhaktivinoda Thakur was trying to preach difficult to make devotees, and we touch people, people become devotees. Right? Tell them a little about Krishna, tell them about Prabhupada books, and say, come for program. Hare Krishna. This is the potency, this is the empowerment. So we see Srila Prabhupada in the parampara having that avesh of spreading the movement to every nook and corner, as is the desire of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And all of us have become a recipient of this opportunity to practice devotional service and also assist the movement in assisting Srila Prabhupada. This is a great blessing that we have received. I remember one devotee asking a question to a sannyasi about chanting the holy name, of how much should we chant, matlab beyond 16, what should we do? So I remember Maharaj ji speaking that to consider that our own spiritual practice will cause our deliverance is the greatest illusion of Maya that we can have. कि हमारे भजन और भक्ति से हम कृष्ण के चरण कमलों तक एकाएक पहुंच जाए, ये माया का सबसे बड़ा जाल कि आमी पार को, right? It is not possible. He said the only possibility of reaching Krishna's lotus feet is we assisting Srila Prabhupada in assisting his Guru Maharaj to spread Krishna consciousness. And all that we do is following Prabhupada's guidelines to become empowered to be able to assist him. This endeavor of ours will win the favor of Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda and Prabhupada and make us receive the blessing. To think anything else can make us qualified is an illusion. Right? So that is the empowerment of the parampara, and to the extent we tune to it, we have the power. So devotional service is very, very rare. As we are seeing here in the pages of Bhagavatam, very rare personalities receiving pure devotion, unalloyed devotion. A good populace, or 99.9999% of people, they are swayed by karma, jnana and yoga. Very easy. Anything motivated by ego is very easy to do. As devotees, we become very excited. Anything with karma, jnana and yoga within the Shastra. Right? Because the ego drives us. But for devotion, ego needs to be given up. Ego needs to be humbled to the acharyas, and you become an instrument. So you have to achieve a true ego, which is a very difficult. Like we here see Upabharnava humbled to become a Shudrani's son, and humbled and then become great Narada. So it takes a lot of blows to the false ego to really become humble and fixed up. Otherwise it's very, very difficult. So devotional service is very, very rare. Prabhupada says in the Nectar of Devotion lecture that yes, it is very difficult to achieve pure devotion, Shuddha Bhakti. The quality of Shuddha Bhakti is Sudurlabha. Very difficult. But Prabhupada said we are giving the opportunity. The fortunate will take to it. The fortunate will take to it. Prabhupada said. So we understand that our deliverance and the deliverance of the world depends on how much we take Srila Prabhupada's program, Srila Prabhupada's instructions, Srila Prabhupada's mission, and Srila Prabhupada's guidelines very, very seriously in our lives. Since he is the empowered Acharya to fulfill Lord Chaitanya's desire, to the extent we become aligned, and it is very difficult to be aligned. In the beginning, because we are ignorant, we accept. Afterwards, we become very enlightened. Still, we become humble to accept and align. And we follow the process very diligently. Then we can achieve Krishna consciousness very easily. Like we were hearing from His Holiness Bhaktidev Damodar Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada's program as a bona fide Acharya, and we take that program very seriously. And the expertise of an Acharya is he can design a process by which you can engage everything in Krishna's service, and engaging in Krishna's service and coming close to Krishna to have a personal relationship with Him. It is said the quality of an advanced devotee is he can engage everything in Krishna's service and act in such a way that every action makes you develop your personal relationship with Krishna. Make sense? Everything you can engage in Krishna's service, and every action you do helps you develop your personal connection and relationship with Krishna. That is the expertise of a great devotee. Right? As he becomes purified of the lower modes. Right now, for us, it is very difficult to engage everything in Krishna's service. Prabhupada was in the plane, the aeroplane, and all the devotees were with Prabhupada. And suddenly, a Charlie Chaplin movie started playing. You must have heard this. And all devotees was like, we should not watch. This is Maya. And all of them were like, not hearing, closing their ears and sitting on the side. And suddenly, as they were trying to be so determined not to hear, they heard chuckling of Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada laughing. They opened their eyes and they saw Prabhupada watching the Charlie Chaplin movie. They were like, हमारे गुरु महाराज देख रहे हैं, हमें भी महाप्रसाद लेना चाहिए. So all of them also gathered next to Srila Prabhupada and started with Rochak viewing the movie. And they were also like giggling, chuckling with Prabhupada. And after the movie concluded, Prabhupada said that Charlie Chaplin's humor is so original. So original. Said all the original humor comes from Krishna. So Prabhupada is watching Charlie Chaplin, seeing his humor and reminded of Krishna's humor, and in love remembering Krishna as a result of that and intensifying his personal relationship with Krishna in course of. And all the disciples, then what were they looking at? Right? So that is the expertise of an acharya. And every time devotees would look at Prabhupada, what is Prabhupada doing? I think it's a record of how much they have recorded Srila Prabhupada's voice and his pictures. Even Prabhupada brushing his teeth was also recorded. Brush and spit, and that is recorded, and Prabhupada says something. Because they knew he's an acharya. Very amazing that our system was not so strong like video streaming and recording, with the empowerment of the material nature to be able to do so. Prabhupada was once looking down and watching the vehicles, and people said, Prabhupada kya kar rahe hain? Yahan Krishna kahan hai? And they asked Prabhupada, what are you seeing? He said, I'm looking at the trailers which can be engaged for Ratha, for Jagannath Rath Yatra. The first Rath Yatra happened on the trailer. Like last year, our Rath Yatra happened on a trailer. Went on a trailer. Prabhupada's thinking. So Prabhupada is an acharya who engaged everything in Krishna's service. And that's one of the great contribution of Prabhupada in the inspiration of Srila Rupa Goswami of Yukta Vairagya. Otherwise, the concept of devotion is very narrowed. जो भजन करेंगे, भोजन करेंगे और भक्ति करेंगे. But mission of Lord Chaitanya to expand, then everything can fall in that Chaitanya Seva. Anything that helps expand the movement becomes a part of devotional service. Right? So in that way, the service of Lord Chaitanya has expanded, and literally everybody now can become a part of the movement. That's an entrance Srila Prabhupada has created by the plethora of opportunity of service of everyone. And now you look at it, like Prabhupada was very, very enterprising and creating engagement and opportunity to every individual to serve Krishna. Right? You use every talent of yours. One person was expert. He was thinking, what is my mission in Prabhupada's movement? And he was one who could do some kind of, stitching work or some kind of making some things. So Prabhupada said, or his name is Ishan, and Prabhupada told him, you should make mridangas. Mridangas in the West, they don't get damp. The special mridangas. So his life mission became, and Prabhupada said, make mridangas that your god brothers cannot break. So he took that as his mission in his life to prepare those mridangas of highest quality and dedicated his life. So like that, Prabhupada engaged everyone according to his nature and capacity. Prabhupada met Mr. Ford, Ambarish Prabhu was a hippie. And devotees said, Prabhupada, ye Ford ka grandson hai. Prabhupada unko milte hain. He says, where is Alfred Ford gone? Kahan gaye? Kothai gela? And then he was puzzled because wo guzar gaye the. Kahan chale gaye? Just by that question, he caused the awakening. And then he gave him the name Ambarish Prabhu and gave him a mission for life to make the Adbhut Mandir, which Lord Nityananda speaks about to Jiva Goswami. Right? And he has made his mission to make that. He's not only putting his finances, but going and asking everyone to fund for it. So Prabhupada created that enthusiasm in every individual of whatever position you may be, and you can engage in Krishna's service. And we all have become able, like the young people with so much enthusiasm and vigor to do so much. If there is no proper engagement, very difficult to keep people. And Prabhupada has given so many projects, so many movements and so many missions. Somewhere we can adjust ourselves and be a part of the movement and spread. So this is one of the greatest contribution of Srila Prabhupada, which is bringing down the same message of the Acharyas and making it available. Prabhupada was very, very practical. Very, very practically introducing the process to us for application. To make devotional service so easy. So if we take the spiritual program of Prabhupada, and if we take the service program of Prabhupada, very seriously, we can achieve success. Whoever we may be, we may be like we're talking, anyone with any background, we all have our karma and our sanchay karma, which is pushing us to act in a way which is not favorable. Right? All of us are driven by, it's not that we are trying to be insincere, but we are pulled and pushed by our modes that we can't even change the inertia of what we are. Very difficult. So we have to find a way to use that same momentum to assist Srila Prabhupada in the movement. That's our program. Right? Under good guidance. Take good advice, it's always helpful. You can save many from the accident, and you can also be saved from the accident. Veterans' advice always helps. So, we design our life in that way to engage in Prabhupada's movement. And then make goals to spread Lord Chaitanya's movement. Whatever you would want to do at that level. So, Prabhupada has opened that mission and the movement. So, we are greatly blessed by the association and the service and the direction and the guidelines of Srila Prabhupada. And we are more so blessed because we are at Srila Prabhupada's birthplace. What great fortune, Sri Pada Kshetra. And Prabhupada has his own instruction to make something monumental, to glorify his contribution to the whole world. Right? So basically Prabhupada is saying, do something unique so that people would come here and be able to appreciate Srila Prabhupada's contribution. And we can use all our intelligence of what could that be and do it. So Prabhupada has given us opportunity to really do something so sabko apna janamsthan pyara hota. Right? Everybody likes his hometown. Obviously Prabhupada is a great show, but we're getting an opportunity to serve here and spread. And Prabhupada said it's like a gateway to Mayapur. So it's not only making a gorgeous monument glorifying Prabhupada, but Prabhupada himself is like the gateway to Lord Chaitanya. Right? Prabhupada is that gateway who has helped us receive Lord Chaitanya's mercy. So this project be a gateway to Mayapur and also glorify the actual gateway Srila Prabhupada to make all of us, everyone in this world, receive Krishna consciousness. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki, Samaveta Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki, Tai Gaur Premanande. Hare Krishna.